What's up, everyone? It's Lucas from Astral Auto Styling, and today we're going to talk about how much you should be paying for a vinyl wrap. If you're interested in getting your car wrapped, you've probably been going around to different shops trying to get estimates and quotes for what it's going to cost you. If you've gotten some quotes, you've probably noticed that they can vary greatly. The amount one shop charges can be very different from what another shop charges. So how do you know what's the right price? Are you getting ripped off? Is it a good deal? How do you figure that out? I can only speak to Toronto and the GTA area because the price of wraps is very different depending on geographic locations. So the US charges one price, different provinces and different cities even charge a different market rate. So here in Toronto, in the GTA, if I had a two-door vehicle, which is basically where all vehicle wraps start, I would expect to pay between $2,500 and $3,000. That is a very fair market rate or market starting point. So if you walk into a shop, you have a two-door vehicle, and they say it's going to cost you between $25,000 and $3,000, you should feel like, okay, that's fair. It's not a deal, it's fair. The first red flag would be you walk into a shop and they say, we can do the whole car for $1,200. Immediately, alarm bells start going off. And I want to investigate more. Why are they charging so little, right? This doesn't really make sense. If you have that two-door vehicle, the wrap alone, the cost for the material alone is going to be around $1,000 in Canada. One roll of vinyl is about $1,000. So if a shop says they can do the whole vehicle for $1,200, doesn't really make sense. Like, what's their profit margin? Are they using cheaper material? How can they justify that? You want to investigate that further to make sure you know what you're getting and what you're paying for. So now they have an idea of what that base price should be. You care about what is my specific vehicle going to cost and how do shops price that out. So let's use $3,000 to be our starting point. Okay, our range, our starting range is $2,500 to $3,000 for a coupe. So we're just going to use $3,000 because it's easy to build off of. So if you have a sedan, that's going to cost more than a coupe because it's a bigger vehicle, it takes more material and more time. SUV is bigger than a sedan, so it will cost more. And then a truck is even bigger than an SUV, so that will cost more. So every step there's an increment or an incremental increase in price. Now, there's no real standard for that. Shops typically charge whatever they want for that increase. It could be a $200 difference or $200 difference every time, a $500 difference every time. That's very shop dependent, but you should understand that if you have an SUV, it's going to cost more than a coupe. It takes more material and it takes more time to wrap, so it's going to cost more. The interesting thing happens is when you have these exotic vehicles. So Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and other exotics, McLarens, right? They're typically two-door coupes. They're very small. So how is a shop charging what they charge for those cars? Those cars do not cost in that $2,500 to $3,000 range. Why? It's much more risk for a shop to take on an exotic vehicle. I've seen quotes of $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, even $13,000 for some Ferraris and Lamborghinis. So that's a $10,000 difference from that base coupe price. How do shops get there? The reasoning is, it's like I mentioned, it's risky to bring that vehicle in. And if something happens to it, it costs a lot of money from the shop to fix it. Now, alarm bells and red flags would start popping up if a shop said, we can do that Lamborghini for $3,000, the same price as a regular coupe. It might be counterintuitive, but the shop that's charging that $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 for that Lamborghini is probably more reputable because they understand the risk and what it takes to do a good job with this car. Another shop that's charging that $2,500 to do it, if something goes wrong, which intentionally or not, things do happen. If something goes wrong, are they going to fix it? Are they going to make you whole as a customer? Are they going to do the right thing? You would hope so, but who knows, right? They may just be putting that low price to book the vehicle in and then start marketing their business with that vehicle. Just something to be aware of if you have an exotic and you're shopping around. Okay, another red flag to just, if it pops up, you're aware of it now. So we have an understanding that shops charge an incremental price increase for different size of vehicles. We have our $3,000 coupe, and now I want to wrap my personal SUV. So let's assume the shop does a $200 incremental increase. The sedan would be $3,200, so my SUV would be $3,400. Okay, makes sense. That $3,400 or that base price that they gave you is typically for regular satin, matte, and gloss colors. Any range of satin, matte, or gloss colors typically fall into that price point. If you want a color shifting film, a chrome film, if you want a diamond finish, these films cost more and will add more onto that price. So if we have our SUV getting wrapped for $3,400, but now all of a sudden I say I want to do it in chrome, that $3,400 can quickly become $6,000, $7,000. Okay, because the price of chrome is insane. A color shifting film does cost more, but not nearly as much as chrome. So instead of that $3,400 for the SUV, for that gloss, satin, or matte, now maybe it's $4,000. It's an extra $600 just based on the material cost and the difficulty to install it. Because a color shifting film is much more technical. You have to align all the panels correctly. You don't want anything to be mismatched, otherwise it looks weird. It doesn't come out properly. So again, that's another way shops add on to that price. Something to be aware of is not all vehicles are created equal. So just because you have an SUV doesn't mean it will cost the same as someone else's SUV that got wrapped that you may know. The common or the typical example that's always used for this is the G-Wagon. So a G-Wagon falls into that SUV category. Based on our other example, it should cost $3,400 for a regular gloss color. But the shop has quoted you now $5,000 or even $5,500, $6,000. How did they get there for that regular gloss color? G-Wagons are one of the most difficult vehicles to wrap. So just because it falls in that SUV category, the skill needed to do a good job on that vehicle increases the price significantly. Again, just something to be aware of. Just because you know someone who got a quote for whatever it was, if you don't have the exact same vehicle and you're not going to the exact same shop, you're going to pay a different price. Okay, that price will not hold true everywhere you shop it around. Something you want to investigate when you go to a shop to get a quote is what kind of warranty do they offer? Typically, most shops will offer a couple years, maybe 1 year or 2 years, but you might see some shops with this lifetime warranty. Okay, again, I personally don't have any experience with that. I'm not really sure what they mean by that, but that kind of, again, sends alarm bells off in my mind. So it's a red flag for me. How can you warranty a wrap for lifetime? What does lifetime mean? Because the manufacturer itself doesn't offer a lifetime warranty. They only warranty their vinyl for a couple years. I think 5 years for vertical surfaces, 3 years for horizontal surfaces. So how is the shop, the installer, warrantying that for a greater time period? What exactly does that warranty cover? Just some things to investigate. It might be fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's just something to be aware of if a shop is trying to use these things to push a sale onto you. You want to be aware of that. And finally, like any business, the best way to figure out which shop to go to is by looking at their reviews and talking to customers who have actually dealt with them. Obviously, shops make mistakes and things happen. Now with the age of social media, people blast shops all the time. Look at this poor quality work. I can't believe they did this. And I personally don't think that's fair because mistakes happen. Like these things are not intentional. But what I would put weight into is how did the shop deal with that situation? Because if a customer says, oh, my vinyl's peeling up, you guys messed up, and the shop goes, you're right, we made a mistake, bring the car back, we'll use our warranty, right? And we'll fix it for you. That's our bad, no cost to you, we're gonna fix it, we're gonna rewrap it. What more do you want than that? They're owning up to their mistake and they're fixing it. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see from a business, from a reputable business. And there are many shops in the Toronto area that do that. They have a great reputation, they're very good at dealing with customers, but there's other shops who do not have that reputation. So you want to make sure you go to the reputable places, the places that have been around forever and have great reviews. It doesn't mean those good shops aren't going to make mistakes. Of course they will make mistakes. That's life. But how do they deal with them, right? That's the number one thing. So if you go to a shop and they say, we can do your whole car for half price of what this big shop is charging, it might be a good deal now, you'll save money now, but if anything happens to that wrap in the future, do you think that they'll own up to it and they'll fix it for you? Or is it gonna end up costing you more in the long run, right? Those are the red flags and things you wanna watch out for. The lowest price doesn't mean it's the best option for you, doesn't mean it's the best deal, right? Those reputable shops that charge a bit more, they will take care of you as their customer and they will make sure that wrap is looking good for as long as it is on the vehicle. All right. Again, that's what you want to look out for. That's typically how wrap shops price out their work. And now you know as a customer what you can expect when you go into these shops looking to get a quote. That's it, guys. See ya.